on, I had a sense of my path in terms of doing work with people in the mental health space. It's just from the time I was a child. And, I took the typical path. I went to university and I thought I was going to go to medical school. And then that wasn't for me. And I found myself grad school, did this, did that. I worked, I was always attracted to people with impossible problems. And in the health space. So people who have been told by medicine, traditional medicine, you're just going to have to learn how to live with that, and then abandoning them. So, that has been my path. So I started off working with people with chronic pain and, did good work with them. I consulted in hospitals. I mentored others to do the similar work. And that was most of my career until my second child came into my life. And I found myself in a scenario where I was in a corporate structure, essentially doing the work with a team, but there was a lot of toxicity that was coming into the team. And it was this corporate mindset of just appealing to the bottom line and forgetting about the people that we were serving. And I found myself feeling like, this is not safe. I don't feel good. It's bringing out a lot of negative feelings in me. And I knew I couldn't be in that place anymore. So I was pregnant at the time when this awareness was coming, and my daughter was about to be born. And I just took that opportunity to say, thank you so much. And I'm never coming back. I wrote this letter to everyone and I'd been there for a number of years. And I just said, I knew that I needed to close that door because it was too easy for me to go back. I was picturing myself in a year in the future. I just show up, I see the clients, I get paid, it's easy. But I knew that this path was closed. So I wrote that letter to everyone so I could not go back. And I would force myself to find a new path. So really my private practice started because of this break and my daughter coming in my life. And for that period of time, initially, I was like walking in the wilderness. Like I still remember, I think I may have said this out loud, walking around with my baby on and going, universe, please tell me, what is the way? Like, how am I supposed to go from here? I can't see these types of clients anymore. I just won't deal with those systems that are so dehumanizing. And I don't know how to do a business on my own.
Right.
And I went to lunch with a cousin of mine. I had my baby with me and I'm just blabbering about this. And she's like, Stacy, you know what? My cousin happens to own a fertility clinic. She's like, have you ever thought of helping people who are struggling with fertility? And I was like, no, like, I don't even know much about that space at all. She's like, I think you'd be perfect for it. Like, you just need to get a bit more training, but you've got the right background and check it out. And so this started an idea, and I started talking about this with people I knew, and the stories that I started to hear from people I knew, right? The parents of my child's friend. I have an older son. And I was just blown away by these stories of people struggling with the hardest thing. And some got support, some didn't get support. Some people were going through it at the time. And I was just so compelled. Again, the impossible situations, right? And these hidden stories, like these people were functioning every day. I'm like, how do you get up in the morning? Like, just given the weight of what you're dealing with, right? And just pretending like things are normal, and they're so not. So that led me on a path of, I've literally almost the next day, I get a LinkedIn post or something from somebody I had done performance training with. Like, we were in the same course together, and she's the leading expert on fertility when it comes to psychology. And she just shows up, like, and I just reach out to her. I'm like, hey, do you remember me? This is what I'm thinking of. And like, what do you think? What's your feedback? She's like, you'd be perfect. Like, absolutely, I'll be there to train you. Like, just these synchronicities kept happening. And so I did the training with her, and I went to my cousin's clinic, and I sat and listened to the stories, and I got the contextual knowledge, and I just started. And so that was the grounding place of starting something new, was within this realm. And I started, like, literally just one foot in front of the other. Like, where am I going to work? Right. Seeing this place across the street, I kind of, oh yeah, this is this medical clinic that I got the postcard. I love their branding. Like, let me just go in there. And I'm like, if you could have seen me again, I'm telling you about walking around with my baby because I walked around with her a lot. And I just came from working out. And I'm just gross. Like, I'm not looking professional at all.
Oh, yeah.
And there's this hesitation, like, oh, maybe I should just go home. And like, maybe it's not the right time. And I was just, no, just go.
Right.
And so I walk in and there's this, I remember the admin person, she's this gorgeous woman and she's kind of had a bit of attitude towards me. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm just like, is the owner or manager here? Like, I'm a psychologist. I'm wondering if they need a psychologist. And she's like, I don't know anything about that. And she just gives me a name. And I go home and I look them up and I'm just on their website and I see that they rent out their clinic space for other health professionals, right? And just to message them. So I do this. And then there's a meeting and then we get along. And there's a reason we get along. And my homemade website, they're just like, yeah, we loved your website. It was the most beautiful website we've seen. Right. And I love their branding. And so there's just some commonality. And it turns out they're a clinic in Toronto called Magenta Health. And they're a big part of my heart because they were so balanced. Like these days we think about medicine and healthcare workers and how much work they're going through, how much struggle they have at showing up. And these people had a stocked cupboard of great food. They all broke for lunch and had lunch together every day. I was like, I love this. I love this, that they are walking the talk. And I just showed up to be helpful. I said, you know what? I have some knowledge to share with you guys. I brought them lunch one day and I was just there and I just said, yeah, like I'm in the hallway. Like if you need me, if you want my feedback, just come towards me. I was just showing up to be helpful. And this is how things started.